Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Two recreational baseball teams, the River Dogs and Adler's Paint, have been meeting on their New England field on Sunday afternoon for longer than anyone can remember. These middle-aged sportsmen can't run as fast as they used to or connect as reliably with a pitch, but their vigorous appetite for socializing, squabbling, and busting chops remains undiminished. Beautiful film. It's called Eephus, and we're joined today by the director and writer, Carson Lund. Carson, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. My affinity for baseball goes back as far as I can remember. I love it. I've been playing on a beer league softball team for the last 40 years. And so there's a lot of very relatable elements to your film in my own life. But more importantly, it's your ability in the film to tell a bigger story about these men who have been at each other's throat or just known each other for a long time. Creating that atmosphere you were able to create in Eephus is just terrific. What inspired this?
Well, I've played baseball my whole life, and I play in a league like the one depicted on screen. It is in California. It's not in New England, but I am from New England. So I wanted to bottle that feeling of fall baseball that I remember so fondly from when I was a kid, and we'd be playing up until the latest days of October and even into November. It was getting colder and colder, and you're just trying to hang on to this game because you know that the winter's coming and you're not gonna be able to play till May, or sometimes June, even if the weather's really bad that winter. So yeah, I mean it certainly was inspired by all the different teammates I've had over the years, and wanting to tell a story about that kind of community that I felt was so unique and so important in a hyperspeed world where we're all kind of distracted by so many things at once. The idea of just getting together with people who share that love of doing something, whether it's baseball or something else. I wanted to capture it through the particular rhythms of baseball, and sort of structure it around a single game.
That's the beauty of baseball, is it lends itself to stories. It lends itself to interaction. Unlike other sports. I mean, in football and basketball, certainly there's chatter between the people who are playing those games, but there's an awful lot of space to have conversations, to be able to tell stories in baseball. And there's just such a rich tradition of good baseball films, and this certainly is one of them, in the sense of getting to know the people who are playing in ways that you wouldn't be able to in other sports. Was there a particular quality? Is there something in particular about the characters that we see in Eephus that you were most concerned about pulling out of in pulling into the story?
Like I said, I'm from New England, and one of the impetuses for the film was my dad has played in leagues forever as well, and he was reaching a point where he couldn't play as much anymore because his knee was hurting.
Yeah.
And he needs a knee replacement, but he's not getting the knee replacement because it's a frightening procedure, and as a result, he can't play this game that he loves to play. And so I had been to a couple of games he played in his league, and I observed that many of his teammates were very similar to him in that sense, and they were kind of feeling like they were reaching the end of their playing careers. As I've gotten older, I mean, I'm still in my 30s, but I've noticed that I get a little sorer after every game, sorer than I used to get. And so I started to see myself in these people. But I'm also reflecting on a kind of masculinity that is common to New England, where people interact through the language of competition, and they kind of conceal or repress feelings towards each other through this sort of trash talk, essentially. And it's something I experienced quite a bit as a kid when I played in these very competitive leagues and traveled around playing baseball. And at that point, it can be really intense because you're trying to
Yeah.
perfect your game and get to the next level, but it sort of weighs on you. And I got tired of that, so I left the game. But I think a lot of people never grew out of that kind of way of relating to one another. And so I wanted to kind of explore that. It softens over the years, and I think it becomes less about actually putting each other down and more about that's just the kind of language that is used, but there's actually an affection to it over time. And yes, it comes with some degree of repression, but I think it's a regional dialect. So I was looking to find people who I felt were good fits for that.
As you're talking about your story and this, basically the story behind Eephus, my dad played softball as well. He played fast pitch softball,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a catcher, and he never wore a chest protector. He only wore a mask. So the sort of the similarities in this competitive edge, and he played well into his 60s. So I know, I mean, I just kind of, there's so much for me personally to relate to in this film. The people that are in it, I played with these guys. I know exactly, maybe not in a New England context, but I played with guys just like this.
Oh yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, whether they played baseball or not played baseball, whatever, there's all kinds of endeavors in life where there's a competitive kind of advantage and disadvantage. People are going to relate to it on that level. And I'm sure you've heard comments and feedback in that regard on this.
Oh, regarding the universality of the
Yeah,
film,
yeah, yeah,
essentially. Yeah, I think it could be about any sport or really any
yeah,
hobby, any extracurricular activity that people get together to do because they love it and they want
yeah,
to spend time with other people who love it. And in those communities, people have their own specific language and they play a part, they play a role that
yeah,
fits the whole, and that whatever that role is just provides some outlet in their lives that maybe they don't have elsewhere. So there is a kind of escapism to it, but we call it escapism, but I would push against that and say it's really just trying to tap into who we really are. I
yeah,
think it's the other stuff that's pulling us away from our humanity,
yeah.
the all the work we have to do. And I think when we're playing a game like baseball or something else, I mean, we're trying to recall that childhood joy that we had when we were younger,
Yeah.
and that is only brought out by this certain activity that we're told we shouldn't. It's a childish thing, so put it away. So this is kind of an ode to people who are making an effort to continue that tradition and to keep it alive, but other forces are tearing it away.
In the film, we see in Eephus, we see not only are they getting older, the field is getting older. The
Yeah.
field in which they play on is in sort of this sense of mortality to the actual place where they play, which I thought lends a lot to just the tone of the film and the bittersweet quality that so much of the film to me feels like that we all experience, no matter how old we are. There's a certain degree of that in all of our lives. And by the way, you said New England. Is this by chance Massachusetts or New Hampshire?
Yeah, so it
Because
is
Nashua
Scott.
came up. I
Yeah,
heard Nashua, and I
Nashua is where I'm from. So
okay,
a lot of the references in the film to small businesses or to the
yeah,
local baseball team or to the local bowling alley, that's all stuff that's rooted in my own
okay,
hometown and my childhood and all that. We did shoot the film in Massachusetts, in a town called Douglas, which is
yeah.
near the Rhode Island border. Actually, that's just where we found the right field for the film. I think it is set there, but I also see it as kind of a fictional Douglas or a kind of like a fictionalized New England.
Yeah.
There's certainly references to New Hampshire in the film, and I think in my mind it kind of almost takes place closer to New Hampshire, but we have to embrace that it is Massachusetts.
I know. Well, that's a rather obscure thing that I brought up, but I spent four
Yeah.
months in New Hampshire back in 1992. So that's why when I mean, it really actually did look familiar to me. Just
Oh
the
yeah.
trees and all the, I could just, it had a vibe. Because Eephus is, there is something about the way in which the story develops, the fact that you have people from outside the team who become involved in the story. You bring in a lot of different characters to continually reinforce the notion of our common humanity. That's what the film feels like. This film is about sharing the triumphs and the tragedies and being able to essentially be able to move on if you have to and when you have to and recognize it, but also, as men will want to do, not recognize that it may or may not be time for you to move on. And that's where the film for me takes on a lyricism. There's something about the fact that and I don't want to give any more away than I should in terms of how the game itself plays out as the film moves forward. And again, if anyone's listening to a conversation, this is a movie about so much more than a beer league baseball team. It is about so much more, and hearing them talk to one another is a big part of this. So I don't know if I have a great question for this, but I just want to acknowledge that this is really, for me, the essence of the film.
I appreciate that. I think you certainly picked up on what I was after. I mean, this is a movie about saying goodbye. Everything comes to an end.
Yeah.
Always, every day, something comes to an end. Every day, we move from bright sunlight to darkness, and we say goodbye to friends. We move away. We move around. It's just something that, and I've lived. I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast,
Yeah.
and I feel a little bit of a geographical displacement. So
Yeah.
it's just something that feels like it's such a part of life that I wanted to try to bottle that feeling of having to say goodbye to something that you don't want to say goodbye to, but you have to for any number of reasons because change is just inevitable.
Yeah.
It's kind of the ultimate theme of life, I think. And I just tried to find a vehicle for it that would feel like very conversational, kind of like a loose, casual way of dealing with these ideas.
And there are many performances in the film and you manage in the course of Eephus to be able to spend time with each of the players long enough for us to get a sense of them. So congratulations to you as a filmmaker being able to develop that kind of rhythm within the course of telling the story and getting us acquainted with these people to a point where we care about them.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm so happy to have worked with such an amazing cast. I mean, I cast most of these folks from Boston casting websites. They were some of them were friends I've had for years and people
Yeah.
I've worked with before. Uh, some of them had not acted in a film before. Others came from New York
Yeah.
for the project. I knew I had a lot of people to cast, and I was trying to find the right faces and the right voices and the right experience level with the game of baseball, which didn't have to be expert level. It just needed to be familiarity. But yeah, I mean, once we all got on the field together, it just really, everything blossomed, the chemistry really grew and these guys lived together just offset. And we did fielding drills and we took batting practice. It was very much like I had to be a coach,
Kind of a
but
spring training kind of thing going on.
yeah, yeah, it was, and people got pretty sore, but that was all part of the fun. And yeah, I think it was always my strategy to put everyone together
Yeah.
and force them, not force them, that everyone was very much bought into this, but to really like shoot this in a small town where there weren't many other distractions and just be there together on this field for that whole month. And I just knew that the rapport would really grow, and fortunately it did. And we didn't have many moments of conflict or tension between the different
Yeah.
team members.
The film is being released through Music Box. It's also eephusfilm.com is where you can also go to find out more about the film. It is out on March 7th here in Los Angeles. Where are you screening here in Los Angeles?
So it's going to be at Los Feliz 3, the
Oh,
American Cinematheque, and it's also going to be at the Lemley Glendale and I believe the Lemley Monica. Maybe a few other places,
fantastic. Well,
hopefully
that'll
soon to be announced. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will have all that posted to the Film School Radio website. Yeah, my congratulations on getting Bill Spaceman Lee involved. That's a kind of a cool little cameo appearance on his part for people who know about baseball. We'll remember Bill. He was quite a character in his time. And also, one last thing before I let you go, Eephus. Let's explain what Eephus is. Probably should have asked you at the beginning, but let's tell people what an Eephus is.
Yeah, I recognize that the title may be, even to some baseball fans,
I know.
it's an unknown word. And I like that it sounds like a comedy too. Eephus is just a funny word. But it is a pitch in baseball, just something a pitcher can have in their arsenal. But it's very rarely thrown, and it was thrown quite often by Bill Lee in the 70s. But nowadays, you don't see it very much unless they bring in a position player to mop up the final
Right.
few innings of a game that's gotten out of hand. It's just a high arcing, slow pitch. The term derives from Hebrew Eephus, which means avoid or nothing. So it's really just a high arcing lob, and it doesn't have much sauce on it. It just kind of comes in at you slow, but because it's so much slower than any other pitch, it really is going to confuse the batter. And I think ultimately this film, I don't want it to confuse people, but I want it to reorient their sense of time, much like the pitch.
I was a pitcher. I used to try to throw Eephus once in a while, but I don't know if I ever did really throw one. So, well, thank you, Carson Lund, for your work on Eephus, for as a writer and director, and terrific cast. I wish you all the very best on the release of this and look forward to more work from you in the future. So thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.